Georgia went to Jordan-Hare Stadium and took down Auburn in what was the most controversial game of the week by a lot. Here's the thing about the officiating. It did not lose Auburn the game. It was horrible. It didn't lose Auburn the game. Because the end of the first half, I thought Arnold crossed the plane. There were too many flags and too many reviews on that drive before halftime for Georgia. I think that drive just broke Auburn emotionally, right? Because they were dominating the game. It should have been 17-0. All of a sudden it's 10-3, and they didn't score again. They couldn't get off the mat. And the Kirby timeout thing, whether he was actually clapping, whether he was calling timeout or not, first off, he was doing this with his hands. He was signaling for a timeout. But regardless of what he was doing, the officials still calling timeout and overruling it, that was just egregious because it gave Georgia a free new play clock, no delay game, no extra timeout. That was wrong. Doesn't matter. It didn't lose Auburn the game, but it was bad. For the football itself, Auburn's defense played very well. They held Georgia to 2.7 yards per carry, only 5.7 yards per pass, and Georgia didn't convert a third down until the fourth quarter, where they then went on and converted 5 of them. So it was an incredibly clutch performance by Georgia offensively. They had 2 sacks and 6 TFLs, Auburn did, which both beat Georgia. The passing game just wasn't there for Auburn. And Arnold's legs, they look really good, but not being able to extend the ball downfield, especially with how good those receivers are for Auburn, that's a problem. It's just a problem, and I was high on Auburn coming into this year. I thought their talent profile was good. I thought the fresh start for Arnold would make him play a lot better, and it just hasn't yet. It just hasn't yet, and so now Auburn is 3-3 overall, 0-3 in conference, I'm pretty sure, and I'm a little worried about Auburn going off the rails now. They host Missouri this week. They're actually their favorites, at least they opened up as favorites. We'll know pretty early on in that game how much fight Auburn has, because it wouldn't shock me if this was the beginning of the end for Auburn's season, for Hugh Freeze's tenure there, or they get off the mat and bounce back and beat Missouri. So we'll see what happens. But for Georgia, they get to go home and host Ole Miss now in what is their biggest game of the year now at this point, hosting a top 5 Ole Miss team. I like them a lot in that spot. We'll get into more later in the week, but for this game, man, Georgia just showed like they're going to play ugly the entire time, and it's never going to really feel comfortable, but they're still Georgia and they're still getting it done. And I think that they're still one of the top teams in the SEC, which is wide open. You know, they're not elite, but they're good. And Auburn has a lot of questions to answer, so we'll see where both these teams go from here.